Right. Welcome everybody to the playground. It's Monday night, Vampire the Masquerade, Philly by night. I'm joined tonight by Knox, our storyteller. Zach is our Vic. I'm your Al, and we're waiting for our Martha. Um, how are you doing out there, Twitch chat? I haven't seen you guys since Friday. I hope you're all doing well. How was your weekend? Remember, we do love to hear from you in chat, and we do respond. So feel free to chat with us throughout the game. What's going on with you guys?
Well, I just heard from Martha. She should be on very shortly.
Excellent.
Her exact response was 2 minutes, Turkish. It's 2 minutes, 5 minutes ago.
I guess it was last night. We watched the newest episode of What We Do in the Shadows. Totally worth it.
Have you guys already caught up with She-Hulk and Sandman?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Including the extra
Bonus
Sandman
episode. Night of a Thousand Cats.
Yeah, that entire series was incredible, but it makes me really sad that they're probably not going to do a season 2.
I hate to say it, but I don't think a whole lot on Netflix is going to survive past one season coming up, unless they can get their finances.
Well,
better.
that's actually been one of the reasons that some people are saying they've had the issues they've had is instead of sticking with some of the shows that have done fairly well for them, they cut and run on those shows in order to produce new shit to see if that new shit will be the hot new shit. And so
Yeah,
it's not working out well when people that are paying as much as they are for the service aren't getting their shows back.
Yeah, and there was one of the things I haven't seen it. I frankly have not had enough time to sit down. It took me a concentrated effort to sit down for Sandman, but so there was apparently a show called First Kill or something about vampires. Anyways, apparently it was really well received. Everybody really liked it. It had a full season, and everybody was like, hell yeah, they killed that. On the flip side of that, they also killed the new Resident Evil series after a single season.
Yes.
Which, yep.
I have heard from numerous people that was a good thing all around.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it for the ride that it was. Would I recommend it to others or sit through it again? Professor in the chat says Gaiman is confident that if Netflix dumps it, he can find a new home for it, and I do too. I mean,
and he said that he also retains the rights, so that if they did dump it, they could try to move it to HBO Max, since it is a DC property.
Oh, very true.
Or to Amazon. His problem, though, and this is what he really summed up, is it's not just a lack of interest. He said because it has done very well on Netflix so far. It's that there's two things that apparently Netflix factors in: is it bringing in viewers for the entire thing? In other words, are people sitting down and watching the first 2 episodes and then going, okay, cool, and then leaving?
Right.
Or are they sitting down and watching the entire series? The other thing about that is the cost, and he straight up said, he's like, that's the most prohibitive thing about it, because so much of it is special effects.
Yeah, like I remember when it because I've known about Sandman since 2001. And there was always whispers and always supposedly a script going around on the internet, and nothing ever came to fruition. And then when this last round was like, okay, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, and I heard that they weren't gonna cast named Tom Ellis as Lucifer.
I mean,
from Lucifer, and I was a little disappointed, but then when they did cast, I was like, okay, I want to see this. They obviously wanted something different brought to the character, and I thought it
So
was fantastic.
so yeah, and that was, and like I've seen a lot of people online who were bitching that it was Johanna Constantine and not John Constantine. Um, I've seen a lot of people bitching that that Death was not the little white goth girl that she is in the comics,
I
and
No, I actually have like a death background for my computer. Like I love her, and I absolutely felt like it was fully
yeah,
well done.
like yeah,
Fully well done.
I thought that the woman who did it, she did the voice and the cadence and the act, the way she acted was exactly how Death in the comics looks and felt to me. The fact that she wasn't a pasty white goth girl didn't affect me at all. Um, and again, and Lucifer again, being
Now,
androgynous.
out of the two, would I prefer Constantine from, you know, WBCW, whatever the fuck it is? I absolutely love him. I love that actor. I love that character.
I think they're
Again,
two
would it
different
have
two different
worked
types
in
of
this
characters too,
serious
though.
tone? Not so much.
Right. That's why I think the same thing with Lucifer. I think going a different
Right.
direction worked really well for Sandman because it wasn't going to have that same comedic,
Yeah.
pacing that Constantine and Lucifer had.
Yeah,
I still have,
Professor says HBO is a dumpster fire for DC content right now. The new CEO who brought Discovery Channel into the merger is dumping DC content like it had monkeypox. Oh.
that's true.
Crap.
Gaiman
If you
said
can
that
still hear me,
after
my
hundreds of
computer's
auditions, she was the only one who nailed the big sister vibe. I
Well,
think,
and the,
and it makes sense. Like the actor they got for, I mean, he's very commanding and he's very, and I could see how easy it would be to be the like wilting flower kind of character, but she pulled it off.
oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Can you guys hear me anymore?
Yep, can
Yes.
still hear you.
Okay, my computer just froze up.
Mm,
So
Gonna restart.
looks
Now's
like
the time to do it.
Yep.
Yep. All right, be back.
Oh
All right.
boy.
So
We'll just turn
For-
tonight into a podcast. We'll just...
yeah, I was gonna say the for me, I've had my fingers crossed that they're gonna do a sequel to Constantine with Keanu Reeves forever. Because even though I
I
know
did love that
people,
movie.
even though so, like I know a lot of like DC fans who are like, that's not my Constantine, and I was like, I give two shits about that. It was a great fucking movie.
Oh yeah. I remember when I showed it to Zach and we're watching it, and I was like, Gavin Rossdale's so hot. And he's like, what? And I was like, that's Gavin Rossdale right there. And he was like, oh shit.
I think it's like one of two acting credits that Gavin Rossdale has.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just Tilda Swinton as the Angel Gabriel, and like that entire movie, like the
Goals.
and despite the fact that I know that everybody really likes, the woman who played Lucifer from the Sandman, and I know that everybody is really fond of the guy who played him in the show. The still, as far as I'm concerned, best version of Lucifer on film in any movie out of any genre is still Lucifer from Constantine.
I'm forgetting.
When Stormare, I can't think of his first name, steps down with the tar falling off of his feet in the white suit at the very end, like dude was that is exactly what I expect to see, when I get to hell, like is that horrible, androgynous reptilian, like that's exactly what I expect. Anything else is going to be fucking disappointing.
Also watch.
How is She-Hulk?
Oh, good so far. I'm enjoying it. But I fell in love with Tatiana Maslany back with Orphan Black. Like that show was amazing. You cannot fully appreciate like the comedy that she does now without like the shit like that.
Right.
Oof, so good. That is one of the like. There's we binge so much stuff. There's a like far greater percentage of shit that I'm like, okay, saw it once, good. I have my favorites, but they're few and far between. Things that I can go back and watch anytime. Like The Magicians. Very few things make me cry, but goddamn, I bawled at the finale of that show.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a number of friends who keep being like, you need to watch Supernatural.
No,
They're like,
yeah, all my friends tell me to. No interest.
so I didn't have any interest, and then Jason Eccles was like the best part of season 3 of The Boys.
Yeah,
And it's one of those things. It's like every single time that I see something with Jason Eccles in it, like I'm always walking away going, that dude was fucking amazing. Like my favorite Batman animated movie is Under the Red Hood.
I mean,
He,
I
you
saw
should
that. So far, my favorite was Killing Joke.
um if you
I
get
saw
the
that in theater.
if you get the opportunity, it's on most streaming services. It's pretty cheap. Watch Under the Red Hood. It's the story of Jason Todd, and Jason Eccles plays Jason Todd. Got I'm losing nerd credit. Doogie Howser plays Dick Grayson plays Robin when he's but the standouts for me, Jason Eccles is amazing, and then also they get Joe DiMaggio to play Joker, and
John
it's
DiMaggio?
no Joe DiMaggio, and he doesn't
Really?
play he doesn't play it as it's like he's not trying to be Mark Hamill.
Okay.
It's a lot more like I don't know, like don't get me wrong, I love Mark Hamill's Joker. I love Mark Hamill's take on the Joker. I desperately wish that they would have given Joe DiMaggio way more time to do it. Like that version of the Joker from Under the Red Hood was just so perfect. And then the guy that they got to do Black Mask was also, I thought he was better than Ewan McGregor by far.
Professor says, pay close attention to the background details in She-Hulk. Easter eggs, Fabergé eggs, all sorts of eggs.
Yeah, apparently there's a reference to Wolverine on one of the newspaper or one of the websites.
Oh, the line that caught me last night, and this shouldn't be a spoiler. This is just a throwaway line, but it was great. Was after she goes and interrogates, or not interrogates, but talks to her new client and calls and talks to Bruce to kind of like clear the air, I guess, in her mind. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. I was a completely different person back then. And me and Zach just
yeah, everybody's been pointing out this was completely different person, literally, and everybody's like, oh.
It was good though. Like I said, throwaway, but worth it. I've been loving Alan Tudyk's Joker in Harley Quinn. God, I know. I need to sit down and watch it. Ugh. Keep meaning to.
Yeah, I have the things that I've seen have been absolutely hysterical, but like I just haven't.
How are we doing, Twitch chat?
Martha's laptop is not powering on.
I why today? Like, I can't speak for you, but that now means that all the three of us have all had computer issues today. Luckily, mine got taken care of. But God. What? Kitty says the zoomies. Speaking of Alan Tudyk, we've been watching Resident Alien. He is hilarious. I don't know how. Like, I generally think he's like a good looking dude, but like the way he makes his face look like he's just constantly smelling a fart and hates the world for it. It's it's hilarious. So that one. Watch New House of Dragon. Finish Westworld.
How was that?
I mean, pretty good. I could kind of tell where I think the biggest reveal was going ahead of time, but um the one thing that I won't say I have a complaint about it, but I felt like if anybody had the nerd cred enough, they would have picked this out. Um so I won't get into specifics with the show in case you decide you want to watch it and everything. What I will say is if you've watched the Capaldi years of Doctor Who,
Nope.
okay. There's an episode where it's kind of like live, die, repeat, and the doctor is kind of trapped. And every time he ends up dying, he resets himself. But it's not like he's resetting himself. He died. And so by the end of it, when he finally gets out of this whole thing, you see this moat that's basically all the skulls of the doctors that it took to get him out.
Mhm.
And one episode of Westworld blatantly does this theme. And I'm sitting there going,
Nothing's new under the sun.
yeah, but I feel like most of the viewership of Westworld is probably not the Doctor Who type. So they might, it's new to them, so good for them. They might think it's like revolutionary, but I'm like, Doctor did it. Ugh.
Yeah, I am.
Here's an idea,
Okay.
and I don't know if it'll take me restarting the stream, which would suck. If Martha can get, well, no, she still wouldn't be able to access her character sheet.
I'm eating Mandalorian heads.
So I had the thought that she could at least get audio to us through Discord on her phone. But
Yeah, but she's still not going to be able to log into Roll20.
And Baby Yoda's. I'm eating them too.
dude, we found the best thing at Sam's. I call it the streamer pack.
Oh dear Lord.
So
It was even labeled a gamer pack.
like it's so the big boxes of the school size chips, right? That you can get. It's like multi-packs of chips. This is a box that came with 2 kinds of Pringles, single serve, already prepackaged. 2 types of Cheez-Its. Box of Pop-Tarts. And anything else? I think the rest of my stuff I got from the Asian Mart. But yeah,
I thought there were some little bars, like some little like granola, like not granola, but like breakfast bar type things in there.
Mm-mm.
I
No,
could be
that
wrong.
was the ones I put into that box that I had left over from the big box. So I
Okay.
added those. But yeah, these are really tasty. If you like Fig Newtons, these are way better.
Hmm.
Um, they're thicker, there's more filling,
Oh,
and
I've had them before.
they're really hearty. I like these a lot. So streamers out there, it's good brain food.
Oh, apparently she's about to come online.
Whoa, whoa,
Ooh.
whoa, whoa. Da-da-da-da.
So, note to self: if I ever get that Beyond Meat jerky again, it has to be refrigerated after opening.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, no, I thought it was like normal jerky. No.
Oh boy.
Dang.
Did I hear? Did I hear? Did I hear? I
I
heard. How's it going?
Good. One of the power strips got fried.
Ooh.
Thankfully.
You know, last time that happened to us, it was because a cat peed on it while I was behind the TV. I'm surprised she didn't get electrocuted.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened once.
I'm glad it was only once.
I feel like this is an excellent time to transition through this. So, welcome everybody to our Monday night Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition Chronicle, Philly by Night, session 63. We haven't gotten together in a while.
Mm.
Boys are back in town.
Yeah.
Life has been a bastard.
Yep.
Yep.
Ain't that the truth?
So, we're going to do a very, very brief recap of where everybody left off since the group last time was split. So, when last we left Victor, he was leaving the scene of a crime, carrying Jack away from the crumbling wreckage of his house. Excuse me, I haven't had a problem. Now all of a sudden I'm having a problem even with breathing. Carrying Jack away from the wreckage of his house and attempting to avoid local law enforcement while figuring out exactly what happened. Mr. Starwell was revisiting Threnodi's old apartment building, taking Westy inside to investigate exactly what had happened there, and found that they were very not alone as they heard shambling feet in the darkness. Elsewhere, in a place equally as dark, Alice was wandering in the subways of Philadelphia with a odd partner for the evening in Annie. So, let's start with Vic. Vic, when you left off, you had just pulled Jack from the crumbling wreckage of the house. You'd had headed for through the back yard and hopped the fence with him, and you were leaving, heading in the opposite direction of his house. He's pretty badly wounded. So
How
what?
badly wounded?
The femur on one of his legs is snapped. His jaw is at the very least dislocated. He's got a couple broken ribs. One of his forearms is a compound fracture. He's a mess. But despite all of this, he is still attempting to fight you, albeit, with zero opportunities for success, to attempt to go back to his house to try to rescue his kid. He is displaying no signs of shock or losing consciousness, or he is the very definition of gritting his teeth and bearing it.
Do I know anything about the status of his kid?
You have no idea. The only thing that you know was that of his two kids, you hadn't seen either one of them, and you definitely smelled blood in the house underneath of the rubble.
Do I know what happened to the house,
You have no idea.
just
The only thing is, from what you've seen, what you can theorize is that it is likely someone from who is like you. Who has done this, because he is, because the literal front half of the house looks like a goddamn meteor just crashed into it with no sign of any sort of actual, it's not like somebody rolled a crane into the front yard and dropped a wrecking ball.
Right. Oh, goodness.
So, what are you going to do?
If there's a safe place that I can put him down, then I will try and go back and find his son, but he's in no shape to do that.
Now, keep in mind that entire the structure itself was crumbling as you left, and that entire area is swarming with cops and EMS now.
So if there's anyone to say that could save him, then it would be the cops and the EMS that are already there at the house. Damn it.
So theoretically, you could attempt to set him down somewhere and attempt to go back. But your only real option to go back and not basically be noticed, because right at this point, because of him, you're now covered in blood.
Right.
From picking him up. So your only chance to not be unnoticed is going to be to grab up, basically to obfuscate, which you have that ability. But after you obfuscate, is then to basically never get bumped into, never make a sound, basically be completely perfect in doing this. And if you fuck up, it's a massive.
He's a big bloody guy.
Yeah, it's a major masquerade breach.
I swear we did try to like get them tired out before stream. We really did, but apparently they have limitless energy.
Well, the thing is, they're taking turns. So one plays while the other two are sleeping, and then when that one's done, then another one gets up. So they've been taking rotations today. Yeah. I guess I don't really have an option. That I gotta keep going with him then.
So where are you taking him?
Is there a reason logically that the hospital would not be a good place to take him?
So you could take him.
You.
Well, I was gonna say you could take him to a hospital, but if you take him to a hospital, you're going to have to explain what happened to him.
I pulled him out of his house that crumbled.
The amount of the amount of questions that you're going to get over.
Okay, I guess I've got to head to the club somehow. I don't know.
So that is I was gonna say that's a really long trip.
My options are limited.
You could of course.
Where am I on the map exactly?
You are like up in this area.
Okay.
So it's not a really long trip per se. However, in order to do this, you're going to have to sneak. If you're doing it the fast way, you're going to have to sneak back to your car, get him into the car without being seen, and then drive away inconspicuously and then not get pulled over.
And the car is at his house, right?
The car is near his house, yes. Alternatively, you can hoof it. You are more than capable of making that trip. It's not like you're going to get tired. But again, you're also now risking the
visibility.
The visibility of it. And unless you're deciding to literally not to forego any roads to like basically make a 1-to-1 thing here, part of this trip will take you through Fairmont.
You might want to turn them.
I may not have a choice. I may actually. Sabine's former club is actually closer.
That it is.
That would be at least a place to hide and at least talk it over with him, because that's not something I'm gonna do without him having the choice.
So here is not to continue to stack issues on top of you, but I am going to continue to stack issues on top of you. He's in bad shape. Like he's like multiple internal bones broken. He's got a compound fracture on one of his arms. You have no idea if he's got internal bleeding or not. And that is not exactly what I would consider to be the
worst of.
Right. Well, I was going to say the cleanest of places to take somebody who is suffering multiple contusions, fractures, and possibly internal injuries. Like,
can I at the very least ghoul him? Would that help in this situation, or does he need to be full vamped to
So ghouling him will probably certainly toughen him up a little bit, but it is certainly not a cure for his ills, not in the most immediate ways. Over a long-term period, ghouling him would allow him to heal much more quickly, certainly.
So would ghouling him allow us to get to Sabine's at least, so that we can have a conversation, about going further, because ghouling's not like a non-return. You can return from being a ghoul, right?
That is true.
So that still gives him the option, if that gives him a little bit more strength until he so we can get somewhere where he can make that decision, then
If that's what you want to do, I will also say this: he is not in a position where if you were going to do that, where he could really resist you doing it to him.
Okay.
Again, you are way stronger than he is, and he is all sorts of fucked up. So it's not exactly like if you're like, drink this, and he's like, no, that you're going to be like, well, can't do anything about it.
Don't have to tell him what it is. Just kidding. It's cough syrup. Get that tussin, work it down to the bone.
I'm pretty sure the taste gives it away, like right off the bat.
Well, I mean, he's
What
probably
is
got
this-
blood in. He's probably
what
got
is
blood in
this
his
med-
mouth anyway, so he
That's
might
true.
not
He
get over the
probably.
taste of his own blood. Who knows?
I will tell you that the taste of kindred vitae is so dramatically different as opposed to that there is very little question as to exactly what he is ingesting. So, with all the cards on the table, what are you going to do?
And try and cool him for now, and then get him to Sabine's club.
Okay, so when you say you're going to try and ghoul him, what are you going to do? Just use your teeth and gash open your wrist and basically push it into his mouth, or
Yeah, just give him a little bit, see what happens. I mean, hopefully it'll be intoxicating enough that I don't know.
so when you do that, when you rip open your wrist, there is definitely a moment there where he is like, nah, no way. But when you like push it to his mouth and kind of force feed it to him, it doesn't take long before almost involuntarily he starts suckling at your wrist. As he is sucking at your wrist, you can feel it draining from you. And now you are
Hungry.
ravenously hungry. You are within inches of frenzying. And the beast is in the back of your head.
I need to pull back then.
The beast crawling in the back of your mind, saying, just end it. Just take his life.
I pull back, and then we've got to make a trip.
So where, with your new ghoul and your ever-present and quite ravenous beast, do you head for Sabine's club, or are you headed elsewhere?
I think Sabine's is the closest. I don't want to risk taking him too far right now.
Now you know that there's no one. If you take him to Sabine's old club, there's no one out there. It'll be just you and him.
I'm gonna have to go hunting.
How close is Sabine's to a hospital if it is the choice?
Let us look. Nowhere near. It looks like to close to Sabine's club, you're looking at Einstein Medical Center. And again, this is something he's having to travel on foot, which, well, the traveling part of it is certainly, the carrying part is not the problem. Time and distance certainly are.
As well as, let's be honest, being carried doesn't make having broken ribs and not a non-punctured lung any better.
Yeah, that's probably a thing. Every step is ow, 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 ow. So, heading to You're heading to Sabine's former club to hide with Jack for the time then.
I guess at this point, I'd also send a text out, group text, just letting everybody know what's going
Let's see
on,
if we make the grade.
and that I might be in some need of blood over at Sabine's old club.
So, Mr. Starwell, you and Wisteria can hear in the dark the shuffling of footsteps coming towards you. It is not an insignificant amount of footsteps. It is quite a few. However, in the dark, as I said, there's no way to really see exactly what you are encountering. So, what do you do?
Do we have an exit? Whatever's coming forward, are we able to go back the way we came, or do I hear something coming up from behind us too?
So you can definitely hear the shambling towards you on both sides of you, but you are close enough to the exit to the floor that if you think you can make a run for, you think you could possibly make a run for it. So what do you want to do?
Last question. The pace of the shambling, does it seem hurried and like intense, or
Fast
is it
zombie or slow zombie?
yeah, or like, everybody at arms, or like what's going on kind of gremlins?
I would say it is certainly intentional, but it is also not particularly fast moving.
Okay.
It is definitely a shuffle.
All right. I'm going to turn to Wisteria and say, stay close to me and just back up a little bit, just so we're a little closer to the door. But see, do I have a flashlight or anything?
I mean, I would assume that you have your phone. You could use your phone as a flashlight.
I'm gonna have my phone at hand, and I'm also armed currently, if I remember.
Mm-hmm.
So I will stay armed and have my phone with the flashlight ready to go up.
So what? So are you? So what exactly are you doing? Are you backing up, or are you flashing your light, or?
I'm backing up and waiting to see.
Okay, so when you back up, and Wisteria is behind you, you first hear Westy say, "What the fuck? Get off! What is this?" And then there's kind of a gross sound, like she's like, "Oh my god, you're disgusting!" And then there is a squeal, and you hear a kind of, it's not a crunch, but it is certainly a
Collapsing
snapping.
up. Yeah. I turn on the light on my phone, see what I can see.
So
Shine it out towards the faces. Yeah.
these faces are all very familiar. All of the people who you guys helped to escape in that truck are here. Their skin is ashen gray. The muscles under their skin look almost shrunken in, like they have been atrophying. Their faces are sunken in, and all of their mouths are caked in old, dried blood. When you turn the light over near Westy, one of them has grabbed onto her arm and is biting down. And despite the fact that she is a newborn vampire and is attempting to get her arm away from this person, she is having a certain amount of difficulty attempting to shake them off.
I try and I go to help. So this person, do I recognize this person?
It's you recognize them as one of the people who is
One of the people.
Yeah.
Is everybody around us ghouls at this point?
You don't have enough information to be able to determine exactly what these are.
Okay. What are my capabilities again? Jesus.
You have a bioscanner?
Nah, I know, right?
Westy have Bloodhound?
Nope. Maybe a little bit, but she doesn't know anything yet. I'm gonna do Daunt or like Dread Gaze. Well, I'm gonna hold on to Westy and just do Dread Gaze so she doesn't run away.
So you're attempting to grab onto her and do it even where she can see you, or are you attempting to shield her from your Dread Gaze?
Shield her from my Dread Gaze.
Okay. So I need you to roll roll a rouse check.
Okay, 1 second.
Remember, you can use the buttons on this sheet. The buttons on this sheet work. Okay, you don't get any hungrier. Then I need you to roll your charisma and presence.
Which is what?
So your charisma is 4, your presence is 3, so 7, 5 and 2 is your dice pool.
5 and 2 coming right up. Here we go.
Okay, so when you pull Westy away and flash Dread Gaze, they all stop and kind of freeze up for a second. And it's not as if they are afraid or they are stymied so much as they're you can kind of see there is some sort of twitching going on there. It's almost more confusion than it's anything else. But it does certainly make the one who is grabbing onto Westy's arm drop her arm. But it is very momentary. And
is it enough for me to grab her wrist and say run after I turn it off?
Yes, you could absolutely.
Okay, that's what I do.
So
I'm going to try and record as we're running. I'm going to take a camera with the flashlight and see if I can record as much as we go.
Okay, so so here's the question: you're going to attempt to run in one direction while you are attempting to use your phone and record as you run in the opposite direction, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I need you to roll two things. I need you to roll your dex and athletics.
Okay.
So that's going to be 2 and 2. And then I need you to roll, after that, I need you to roll your resolve and awareness. So another 2 and 2. So roll 2 and 2 twice. Okay. So one success on each. Do you want to blow willpower to roll to reroll? Okay. Do you want to? Are you blowing 2 willpower to reroll? Okay. So 2 willpower
Just
down.
re-roll the whole thing again.
Reroll two white and 2 white. So because you can only reroll your white
Okay,
dice.
whites. Yeah. Okay.
Or roll 1 and 2 because you got 1 success on your first roll.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so 2 successes is certainly enough to make the run, but as you were running, you're trying to videotape or to use your phone. When you hit the stairwells and you and Westy start heading down, even a cursory glance at what you've recorded, it's not usable. It's just all over the place. It looks like the worst found footage horror movie you've ever seen. So you're out. You can still hear the shambling coming from behind you. What do you do? You're now in the stairwell heading down. You could very easily leave from here.
I turn around and see if I can record a glimpse of something before we exit.
Okay, so when you turn around, you can't see anything. You can hear them shuffling, but they have shuffled back off into the floor. It is almost as if they are not
leaving the presence. Or
they can't
close.
They either can't or won't leave that area.
Okay, noted. Continue my exit, get back to the car.
So you head out with Westy. Where is your next location? Where are you headed to?
I wanted to check out.
Originally, you were trying to look and find out what happened to Threnody.
Yeah. So let's see, Threnity's apartment. So yeah, I'm gonna finish the thing and go over to the funeral home.
So you're going to drive to the funeral home. We'll pick that up in a second. Alice. In the subway.
Can you give me like the last 5 minutes of action that happened?
So if you remember correctly, the last things that happened is that you wandered into a section of tunnel that looked like it could have been the section where you encountered Yoru and Samuel so many years ago. However, this section, the artwork is all completely different here. You encountered the mural of the woman in the lighthouse. You encountered the mural of Idaho sitting next to a man in a suit in what looked like a park that, as you looked at the details more and more, found them to be more and more, shall we say, death inspired. You found the weird mural that almost acted like a mirror. It looked like one of those infinite mirrors going off into nowhere. But of course, it was because it's just a mural. It didn't actually reflect anything. And the very last thing you saw was one of the bats that was folded in on itself with its eyes open.
And did I say I was taking photos of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you did.
Covering my ass there. Okay, so have I discerned yet what Annie's mission is down here other than me?
No, she seems to be staying. She seems to be staying very careful, or excuse me, staying very close to you. She's definitely paying attention to the art on the walls. She seems to spend a lot more time looking at the infinity mirror one than the other ones. But she's never far from you with those big dead eyes.
My buddy. My buddy.
Right? Have I basically come to the end of my search, or what's the time looking like?
So it is getting to, let's say, 3-ish, heading towards 4 in the morning at this point.
Yeah, it's better
Now you know from being down here, in theory, you could literally lay down right where you are and be perfectly fine through the day. There's no light down here.
Yeah, but I also don't want to wake up smelling down here. Plus, I mean, like, I really want to be down here overnight with Annie.
Sure, she'd like to be down there overnight with you.
I bet she would. Yeah, at this point, if there's nothing else that gives me reason to continue the investigation, anything that can't be done, any other time, I'd probably start making my way back to the club or the apartments.
So as you start to walk back down the subway, Annie is walking right next to you, and you notice two things. One, aside from the fact that she is moving deathly silent, like you can only hear your own footsteps as she's walking next to you. She's also basically keeping her focus entirely locked on looking at your face as she's walking. So not only is she managing to keep pace with you and walk incredibly silently while she's doing it, she's also doing it literally without looking where she's going. The other thing that you notice is she is almost perfectly mimicking your movements, the swing of your arms, the cadence of your steps, the movement of your body. Like, she is, other than the fact that her head is turned towards you, she is almost a silent copy.
I'm blanking at the
You have no idea. You know she is a full-blooded kindred. You've seen her fangs.
Okay, but I don't know if she can That's
You
one of
have
her abilities. Is
you have no
Okay.
idea. You have no idea if she is what her clan is, what her you don't have any idea.
I guess I just stop abruptly and look at her and just ask, "What is your fascination with me?"
She your abrupt stop doesn't even break the
Right.
for a moment. She stops as soon as you do. And she just kind of blinks her big eyes at you like she doesn't really understand the question. Like she genuinely seems confused.
Why the mimicry? Just a fun game for you, or are you trying to tell me something?
She kind of gives a slight shrug and then sets her arms back exactly in the same position as they were. And is like, just a thing I can do.
Is that because of your plan?
She seems to, her eyes go a little unfocused, and then she kind of looks back at you again and kind of gives another shrug. And then again, matching you perfectly.
Do you even know your clan?
She, yet again, a third time, kind of gives another brief shrug. She finally answers, she goes, does it matter?
Not in particular. Figure you know enough about me. I'm trying to be civil. I'm trying to converse with you rather than just be absolutely batshit annoyed. Give me that much credit.
She gives a very slow nod. She puts a hand on her face on the side, and after a pensive moment, gives a very brief smile and says, I think I like broken mirrors.
Some big for
Another shrug. Now, do you want to attempt to decipher this, or are you?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of a couple of things. Either A, she's just playing with me, continuing to find ways to annoy me, or this is some kind of hint at something deeper.
So what is okay? So here's my question for you. What are you attempting to discern out of that? Are you attempting to? What is your intention? What is your role here? Are you attempting to? Completely appropriate. A purpose of nothing. If I had $1 billion, I would just have a can of Red Bull that just never ended.
Gotta be something. Um, yeah. Uh, really honestly, I just want her to like open up. Like I'm really not trying to pull any information from her, and I don't really know what kind of role I would use to discern what shoulder shrugging means. So kind of at an impasse.
Um, I would say so. You've got a couple different options here. You can attempt to persuade her, which would be your charisma and your persuasion, which would be an attempt to try to get her to open up or be more friendly with you. However, given her behavior so far, you would have to know that there would be an obvious risk there that that kind of attempt to connect would be seen as to say consent
As
is not the
consent.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to say it would be seen as you basically showing affection in return. And I guess the correct way of putting that would be to be encouraging the behavior.
Right.
You could attempt to intimidate her with your manipulation and intimidation. However, in the past, when you have attempted to do this, her ability to literally just vanish into thin air has been incredibly just
Why not
fucking awful.
manipulation and persuasion?
You could attempt to lie to her, but you would have to tell me what you were attempting to lie to her, of course.
Yeah, like I said, all I'm trying to get is some kind of basic information and for her to stop acting like a creepy little brat. Like to just
The
like act fucking normal and answer a goddamn question. That's the goal.
the other thing that you could attempt to do is to attempt to decipher exactly what she has told you with her comment about broken mirrors.
Okay.
And for that I would say is a wits and occult roll.
Okay.
So I will let you make that decision on how you are going to approach this. So you know, and you in particular would know, that the most common depiction of a broken mirror is as the sigil for Malkavians.
I actually didn't know that and I didn't even put that together. For a while there, I was trying to figure out a way to put a graphic together for us that would have each of our symbols over the cameras. So I absolutely knew that mine was I knew that. And you just said it in such a way that I just. Yep. All right. Yeah. I mean, she already cray. That narrowed it down. Alright. Well, upon
So
having that revelation, I think that I would be a little less annoyed by some of her mimicry and just say, look, we just need to get back. Go.
as you're walking in kind of sing-song voice, she's like, "Where are we going?"
I'm going back to my apartment.
She gets a kind of sleepy smile and she's like, "Should I go get us food?"
You should go get me food.
Go make me a sandwich. Steals Zach's line.
I need a snack.
What is my hunger is at a 2. I'm a bit peckish.
Her eyes or I guess I should say, her eyes don't exactly light up, but the emotion around her eyes certainly seems to crinkle as if she's happy to hear this. And she says, should we hunt together, or shall I bring something home?
No. I'm more than happy to eat out.
That's what she said.
I wasn't going to say it, Vic, but I was right there with you. So you guys get to the subway platform, and she kind of gives you a curious look, and she goes, where are we going?
You're the one that offered. I thought you had a place in mind.
She thinks for a second, and then she nods and leads you out of the subway. Vic.
Okay, just gotta say, I feel like I got the shortest chapter, but okay. I kid.
Vic, you are getting towards where the warehouses used to be. And you were searching for the hatch to be able to get into Sabine's former club. You are reminded of the last time that you were here, when someone attempted to bury you guys alive.
That was here, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Has that happened yet?
What?
Us getting buried alive, because I thought that was on like a side night. The timeline was unknown at the time night we did that.
I would say yes, that has happened in the past.
Okay.
So when you drop into the hole on top of the rubble, what do you do with Jack?
Not to sit him down, I'm gonna have a conversation with him and be like, look, you've had some blood. It's not enough to turn you into one of me, but it was enough to get you here so we can have this conversation. You are not looking very good, and I'm afraid that without further help, I don't know that you're gonna make it.
He kind of grimaces, and he's like, what kind of help? He's like, we are miles away from a hospital.
Yep, I'm gonna need to get some blood and come back. More than likely.
You finished?
So, are you... Where are you headed?
Do I know any good feeding places around here? I mean, I know this is like warehouse district. So
I was gonna say this is not a place that you're very familiar with.
What about our taxi cab service? Don't we get? I mean, it's not our service, but we had like That could at least get us both to the club. Hopefully, with not too many questions or not too much visibility.
So you are. So here's the issue. You're basically in a warehouse district. It is the starting to head towards the early hours of morning.
I have to feed tonight. I don't have a choice because if I gain hunger tomorrow, then bye warehouse. Um,
Not to mention the fact if you gain hunger, if you try to turn him and you gain hunger,
right. I guess I have to leave him here for now, and I've got to go. I've got to go find some food as fast as possible. I'm running out of time options here.
okay. I need you to roll. You're gonna have to roll. I was gonna say 6 die, 2 white, 4 red. Do you want to re-roll that 3?
Yes.
I figured you might. So you are stalking across this empty area, and you happen to come across a guy who has just pulled up in his pickup truck. He looks like maybe he was out doing something kind of shady. He seems a little paranoid. The chemical smell coming off of both him and the truck lets you know that he was definitely in possession of something recently.
Mm.
So when you rush the truck and pull the door open and grab him, his reactions are a little slowed. And he is no match for you at all. Particularly not a version of you that has the beast snapping in the back of your head. So the question is, how much are you going to drink?
3, and then leave him really messed up in the truck.
Okay, so you're going to drink all the way down to 1?
Yep. I'm going to need it. Question, what hunger was I when we started tonight's session? Because I didn't look. Did that poll just, I was at 3 already? Whew, man. I just didn't know if that one feeding was you just like took a nice big gulp or something. But
so
yeah, I should have looked at hunger when I started.
So when you drop him, he's unconscious. You now have access to a truck. The issue there, of course, being that you can smell that this has probably recently been used for something illegal.
Meth? Is it meth? Feels like it's meth.
I'm not saying it's meth,
isn't
but
it?
it could be meth.
Smells like piss, huh?
He said chemical. I'm thinking like fertilizer or something. This has got to be something pretty big. This is, or some, I don't know.
I mean, what can I say? Ammonia is a chemical.
Meth doesn't smell like piss. It smells like cat piss.
Ammonia is a chemical.
And burnt rubber at the same time.
Yeah, walking to school, turning a corner, and getting smacked with that was on a hot summer day. Just
at this point, it looks like we're going to need the truck to get back to the club tonight, unless we want to spend the night out at the warehouse, right?
That is probably a reasonable assumption, but that also leaves you with an unconscious body that you got to do something with.
Yeah.
Lick it and leave it.
Lick it and leave it where the truck was. I'm going to see if he tells anybody.
And we hide the truck overnight and dump it the next day.
Something that smells super like chemicals with a paranoid driver who's shady in the worst part of town at the worst time. I think he's totally going to the cops, guys. It's going to catch up to us.
So you're going to basically leave the body where it lays, take the truck, and drive back to grab Jack. Correct.
Yep.
Check him for wires and a badge.
And then check him for a phone. You just call the cops on him. I'm just kidding.
So, okay. Mr. Starwell, you are headed to Carmine's, correct? Before we continue that little tale, we're going to take our break and come back at 10 after.
Sounds like a plan.
Right.
All right, Twitch chat, thanks for sticking with us. Those of you that are just dropping in, welcome to the playground. I'm Pixie Phoenix. I'm a full-time variety streamer here on Twitch, and you're joining us tonight for Vampire the Masquerade 5th Edition, Philly by Night. And we'll be back from our bio break in just a bit, so please stick around and hang out.
I am the best.
Allons-y.
All right, welcome back from the break, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us for Vampire the Masquerade. This is our session 6-3. So thank you guys that have stuck with us through this journey. It's been amazing, and we absolutely love doing this with you guys. Remember, we do answer in chat, so feel free to be chatty. And if you're not subscribed, please consider it. If you've got Amazon Prime, you can link that to your Twitch account and get one free sub a month for any streamer you like, and I would be super appreciated. Um, Other than that, no big news, so we'll jump back into it.
Welcome back, everybody. Mr. Starwell. As you and Westy leave the apartment buildings and head to the funeral home, Westy is like, what the fuck was that?
I'm honestly not quite sure. Can I roll an occult and see if I can think of anything?
You certainly can. Roll your wits and occult. So you're
Got it.
looking at 2 and so you get 3 wits, 1 in occult, 4, 2 and 2.
Okay, 2 and 2.
Do you want to re-roll that die to see if you can get another success?
Yes, please.
Okay. You don't recall ever hearing about anything like that.
I ask her how her arm is.
She looks at it. The bite, as she shows it to you, is all the way down to bone. It did not bite through, which is to say that it wasn't attempting to rip her arm off or anything like that. But you can see from where the teeth went in, it is almost a perfect round mouth-sized chunk incision that has gone all the way down on her forearm, again, to the bone. She kind of pokes at it a little bit, and she's like, she's like, this kind of hurts.
I take it into my hand. Like, would licking it do anything?
Licking it would certainly close the wound, but it's not going to heal the damage.
I turn to her and tell her, can she concentrate? Like, if I tell her to concentrate on healing, would it help?
If you want to, you could take this opportunity to teach her how to heal this wound.
I do just that.
So, as you talk to her about willing the blood to heal, she concentrates and gets a little hungrier. But even as she gets hungrier, even though you've seen this hundreds, perhaps even thousands of times before. There's still a little bit of magic in watching as time seems to fast forward and muscle and tissue close the gap, and within a few moments the wound is gone. She seems somewhat in shock about this, and she turns to you and she's like, so just like that, like we don't have to worry about anything, we can just instantly just fix ourselves no matter what?
No, not no matter what. There are some things that definitely will take us out. But if you are also hungry, the hungrier you are and the worse shape you are, the more it's going to take to come back. Like, do you feel hungry now more than you were before?
She kind of sheepishly nods.
It's an exchange.
You walk up to the front gates of the funeral home, and as you walk through them, the hour is quite late. So what are you going to do here?
Well, I didn't realize how late it was, to be honest. I was just coming to have a sit down with Carmine, but if it's too late, I'm just going to say I'd like to make an appointment first thing tomorrow evening.
So when you get there, Nora is already there, again with the very, very large man. She kind of gives you kind of a sleepy nod, and she goes, almost everyone else has gone to bed. Carmine's still up, though.
I wouldn't mind talking to him now then.
They lead you through the funeral home. The number of looky-loos in the main room is significantly lessened. There are only one or two people who are up doing anything. Everybody else seems to have wandered off, leaving the room curiously empty and feeling much larger than it would have before.
Mm-hmm.
When you get up to Carmine's, he stands as you come in and says, Mr. Starwell, it is a bit late in the evening. To what do I owe the pleasure?
You must forgive me. The night seemed to have gotten away from me, but I come as a friend to ask some counsel.
He glances at Wisteria and then back to you and says, and how would I counsel you?
Well, unfortunately, something's taken my first question tonight, as it just happened recently, and I explain what I found at Threnodies. I was hoping to find allies well and safe post everything, but it seems quite the opposite. And I'm wondering what happened. What could possibly be going on over there?
He ponders it for a second. He says, well, don't have any news to share of your fellow compatriot, said. There has been a strain, shall we say, of ghouls that have been created with the intention of using them as guards, or in some cases, cannon fodder.
Any idea on who's creating these creatures?
He says, unfortunately, I could not speak to that. He says, however, you should possibly look to somebody whose humanity is in steep decline. Keep in mind that these ghouls are still human. They've simply had all of their intellectual prowess stripped.
How is that even possible?
He gives a thin-lipped smile and he says, there are a great many things that are possible if you don't care about the methods.
By that, I assume they were starved completely and then turned, or tortured first.
He says, it's possible. He said there are any number of different things that can be done to the human mind to break it and then break it down. He said, once you destroy enough of the person, and you only have the physical embodiment. Our Vitae ensures loyalty, and the lack of intellect makes them perfect for keeping people away from places they shouldn't be.
So whatever is taking up residence in Threnodi's old abode is working very hard not to be discovered or seen.
He gives a very curt nod and says, it is perhaps not a what, and perhaps more of a whom. It is, from what you have described, quite a large amount of blood that would need to be doled out on the regular. They are, after all, only ghouls.
My coterie almost lost our own eternity trying to save that whole group of individuals, only to find them torn down and taken down such. Feels like a spit in the face.
That does indeed seem to be a message of sorts. He says, to what other ends are you here?
What do you know of Reese?
He shakes his head and he goes, one of the great sins of our kind is thinking that because we have forever, that we deserve it. Too often, pride is our greatest enemy. And what I know of the woman who is known as Reese would indicate that for all of her conniving and plotting and scheming, she is still ultimately playing checkers, while all of the rest of the ones that matter as much as she wished she did are all playing chess.
What's happened to every vampire in her region? They all seem to be gone.
She is forcing them into a predicament. It is not unknown to me that she has issued an edict as in her position as Baron, that no kindred shall hunt in her territory without her consent. What she thinks she's doing is forcing them into Camarilla territories. She thinks she is making this a Camarilla problem while also creating a bountiful harvest for herself and her coterie. What she is actually doing is creating a situation where the people underneath of her are starving and will do anything for food. She already has enemies that are starting to make plans. But again, despite all of this, she seems to think that she's above the fray.
Oh, what an ugly lesson that will be when it is taught.
He steeples his hands in front of himself and says, "You and your progeny need to be very careful. Unlike your coterie, which has remained few in number, Reese has instructed her own coterie to use a human phrase: go forth, multiply, and prosper. Well, one of her coterie has definitely not taken to that. And another of her coterie has only taken a few as children. Says she has one other in her coterie who has taken this to heart and is siring new children almost weekly.
And do these children are these children like not under her edict?
No, she considers them all to be part of her coterie, which means that they have free reign.
Reigns. Which one of her coterie is, let's say, acting the most fruitful?
He leans his head back and says, I believe that one's name is Ajax.
Of course. And one last thing that's weighing on my mind. It's the tentative nature that is in the park.
He says, you mean the wolves?
I do. And the gangrel.
He said, my information regarding that is sadly outdated and limited. However, I have had previous experiences with the wolves in the past. It was a different time and a different country. I would caution you, as I caution all the members of my clan, to steer very clear. One of the wisest lessons that kindred often forget. In these nights, there is always something more fierce, more intelligent, with bigger teeth. He looks to a grandfather clock and says, unfortunately, the hour is growing quite early. Says,
I thank you for closing out this evening with me.
he says, I would hazard that you do not have time to make it back to your own haven. He said, there is certainly a space here for you, though I fear you would find it less palatable than your normal sleeping habits.
Well, where you find me today is not where I started. Any shelter is more than welcome, and under your roof is an honor.
He nods and turns to Nora, who appears in the doorway, and with a grin tells us, take them to the guest rooms. Nora nods and goes, okay.
Like a wet blanket, that one.
She takes you from his office and back down the hall, down the stairs, back into the main room, and through a set of double doors in the back. As you head through the double doors in the back, she takes a turn and leads you down another set of stairs. And into what looks like a morgue. She walks to the very end of the room, opens two of the slots and slides them out. And with with a sleepy smile, she goes, you'll sleep like the dead. You're muted. You're muted.
Delayed reaction.
I say sorry for the rough circumstances, but this is where we're staying for the evening after you, Dollface.
Westy looks at Dora and then looks at you and like shakes her head, and she climbs up onto the slab and lays there. Nora gestures to the other one.
And I climb up.
She slides both of them in at the same time, closes them both, and you hear the click of the locking mechanism on the outside. You hear a faint pat on the outside and a muffled good night.
I reach over to Westy and I just like give her a pat on the shoulder.
You're in your own.
Most morgues are open in between.
This one is solo. This one's solo. You guys are
Yeah.
locked into your own compartments. Probably because it's intentionally for,
Vamps.
No privacy.
Al. You and Annie are walking. She takes you down streets, and after a little bit, you are walking next to the river. Even though she is mimicking your footfalls, she is definitely walking with intention. She suddenly takes off the side of the road, and on the banks of the river, she finds a group of homeless people who are all passed out. A couple of them are twitching in their sleep. She kneels over one and, without ever taking her eyes off of you, sinks her fangs in and starts to drink. So, what do you do, Al?
They all seem like they're passed the fuck out. I guess I'll one next.
So, how much, let's start that over. When you sink your fangs in, there is a very heady mixture here. You think maybe a little bit of alcohol, maybe a little bit of weed, maybe a little bit of heroin, maybe something else.
Maybe a little bit of arsenic.
And in your mouth, the mix of the blood and the drugs is a tingling, numbing, almost electric feel on the tongue. So, Al, how much do you drink?
I'm at a 2.
So as you come down to a 1, when you pull away, you notice that the person that you fed on, their skin is very, very pale. And their heart rate is very, very thin. It's not weak per se. But you get the feeling that these people have perhaps found themselves as food for kindred more often than they know.
I mean, could these be like transients that maybe have hung out behind the club?
It's an awful long way from the club.
Uh, eh, this app, stop it. Could I use premonition victim?
You certainly could. Roll. Roll a rouse check.
Oh, rouse for. I may be going back for second.
You get hungrier. Resolve and Auspex.
Should already have it, right?
Yeah, so it's going to be 2, 3. So 3 and 2 is the roll. So you still over your victim, focusing on them. You see a very, very simple vision. You see the sun come up over Philadelphia. You see it go back down over the horizon. But when it goes back down over that next horizon, the city does not descend into night, but into utter darkness. And there is nothing there.
Bet on them. It just sounds to me gonna meet.
Oh well, I don't want to say
When-
anything because it's not my premonition. I'm not there, so
When you come back from the vision, Annie is watching you very carefully. Nope, just watching you.
You said there was like a clump of them sleeping there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll take another dot off of someone else in the group. Fast up.
So when you take another dot off of someone else, the mixture here is completely different. It is, you catch hints of uppers, you think maybe cocaine. There is definitely something that feels like ecstasy, and something else too. Mixing with the drugs that are already in your system from the last, you feel weirdly displaced. You are both jittery and mellow. You are
In a K-hole.
you are manic, but you are also extremely calm and focused. There's a depressive edge to all of this, and yet there's also a feeling like you want to go out and party. And there, on top of all of it, there is a longing. All of these drugs and all of this blood still don't fill the hole that is missing. So what do you do?
So I rank up Annie and
So Annie kind of looks at you and says, "We're going too slow. We need to run."
do I have time to call an Uber?
You could risk it, but it is almost 5 a.m., which for you is not as much of a risk as it probably is for Annie.
But I'd probably make her aware of that. I kind of have this thing where I actually get to, you know, stay up a little past everybody else's normal bedtime. So I think I'm pretty safe to get back in time. I'm more concerned with
She throws her arms around you and presses her lips to the side of your neck for a brief moment. And then just like that, she's gone.
I'm getting more action than Idaho ever. Nothing special.
Idaho spent all his time running away from Samantha.
Mhm.
Because I was
Robin.
I was gonna say, Idaho had plenty of opportunities. I mean, you remember Hilda, Heidi,
Hildegard,
Hildegard.
Hildegard. Of
Hildebrand.
course, I was gonna say, of course. Also remember how that ended. So you are walking back to the club. While you're on your way to the club, what do you do? What are you thinking?
I'd probably text Vic and Michael, and just say like, "Hey, are you guys okay? Have you made it back yet? What's the status update?"
It is late enough that you assume when you don't hear anything back immediately that they've probably retired. So, do you just head back to your haven?
Yeah.
When you get in and walk through the door, Lane is already there. She is passed out cold on the couch, leaving you to have your last moments of the day by yourself. Vic. You steal the truck. Do you put Jack in the cab with you, or do you put him in the back?
Does it look like he's going to be better to transport upright or laying down?
I mean, dude's got
Probably in the bed then.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Try and cover him up as much as possible, so prying eyes can't just see a body in the back of the truck.
So, as you haul ass across Philadelphia at this time of night, where do you head? Are you heading straight back to the club? Are you headed to?
Yeah, I would think the club, or at least
So-
the apartments. The apartments, anyway.
So, do you take the truck all the way back, or do you drop the truck off at some point before then? And
Do I have time to drop it off and still hoof it some portion of the way?
you theoretically could, but again, if you drop the truck off away from the apartments or the club,
It's not going to draw the heat.
well, it's not going to. Yeah, that's not going to draw the heat. That means you're going to have to go back to carrying Jack, which puts you
Right.
back in the situation of now you're carrying a
body.
broken and bloody body, covered in blood. It's the middle of a major city. There are fewer people out on the streets, not no people, which means you're going to have
Right.
to be extremely careful.
I think I'm going to have to drive it to the club, or at least the apartments,
Go in the alley.
and then have Clyde or someone kind of drive it away once we get Jack out of the back.
Or
So where do you take Jack? Do you take him to your apartment, or are you taking him to the club?
I'll take him to my apartment for now.
Okay.
Get him nice and situated, as comfortable as I possibly can, and then if I still have time for him to make a decision tonight, then he has to make this decision quick because I'm running out of time.
I would say that he by the time that you get him back to the apartment, he is finally starting to lose consciousness. Combination of exhaustion plus blood loss plus.
Okay. I guess I have to feed him a little bit more blood. Damn it. Screw it. I think we're gonna have to vamp him. I don't think I have time for this anymore.
You could feed him blood, which would probably get him through the day,
For the day, okay.
but that's
Okay.
definitely going to increase your hunger again by
Yeah.
1.
That's why I went ahead and brought my hunger all the way down to a 1 because I knew situation was gonna.
So,
Just give him some more blood then.
with that as your last action, this very long day finally ends. Philadelphia sees record heat as the sun goes back up. After a couple weeks of very brief respite of it being almost fall weather, it is back to being hot and humid and generally awful. As the sun starts to descend on Philadelphia, Alice, you wake up. Early as ever. Lane is still asleep in the apartments. And even though it has been a night since, you still feel the residuals from all of the drugs that were in those people's blood. So, what do you do with your first moments awake?
Considering that that's kind of my type, right? Like the drugged out type, wouldn't I be more inclined to this feeling?
I would say yes.
Okay. First things first, I'm checking my phone. See if Lane or anybody at the club needs.
Lane is still asleep, so she certainly hasn't texted. Nobody has texted you. There's nothing that has come up. You have this. You see the text from Vic from the night before. But otherwise,
That's all of you.
Did Annie ever give me a way of contacting her? I have a number.
no. Although if you go in the bathroom, turn the light off
Right.
Say your name 3 times.
times in the mirror.
That or just smash a mirror. Hey,
Bloody.
I heard you liked mirrors. I mean, at this point, I don't know that I have any to do anything else. I'm guessing no one's at the club yet. Lane's still out. I'm guessing no. So I'm not quite sure what to do at this time. Got over the city, enjoyed the last few minutes of light out the window. I'm not hungry, so I don't really need.
Sip some blood from a coffee cup.
If
Fair enough. Vic, as you wake up, to moaning. The kind of moaning that goes along with being in a lot of pain and having no drugs. When you sit up, Jack is shaking as much as he can and sweating.
You're not looking too good, man.
You think nods, but he's shaking
Too much.
enough that it's difficult to tell.
I can help you, but it will involve turning you into what I am. And that's a decision you're going to have to make. I can't make that for you. But I don't know what else to do for you. You need drugs, you need antibiotics. If I can't turn you into a vampire, you're going to need a lot more help than I'm going to be able to give you here.
Romano and Harvey are sitting on the other side of the room. Romano kind of waves you over.
I'll come over.
He leans in, and as quietly as he can, he goes, "Hey, boss. Well, the incident was on the news. Moira put 2 and 2 together, and she paid a not inconsiderate sum to a police officer to find out exactly what happened. They don't know. They did pull 2 bodies out of the wreckage. One's dead. The other's comatose." He glances over at Jack, says, "Whatever did this to him just left him with no family."
Or maybe it left him with a new one.
Romano
I-
shrugs his shoulders, and he says, "Look," he says, "I don't know what happened there." He said, "Moira couldn't tell me what happened there." He points at Jack. He says, "The only guy who is actually there, who knows what happened, is laying on our floor. But if we don't do something about it, he's going to end up sharing a bed next to his kid."
All right. I go back over to Jack, and I again explain where, you're low on time. I'm not relaying information about the kid yet. I don't know that. So we're trying to look into what happened. We're trying to figure out, do everything we can, but we could use your help. And I know you probably want to figure out what happened too.
Jack's eyes are completely bloodshot. And when he coughs a giant mouthful of blood. He looks at you, and it is difficult to tell what the emotions are that are on that face outside of, extraordinary agony. Harvey clears his throat. He says, either you make the choice for him.
I cut open the wrist then.
When you put it to his mouth, he's shaking so hard and his eyes are starting to roll back into his head that it is difficult. Now, the process of churning him means that you need to drain him almost completely dry first.
Crap. Okay.
So that will, if you have any hunger. So when you bite, where are you biting in on him?
Guess where's a place that isn't already punctured?
Well, one of his arms is not completely screwed up.
Well, I guess the one arm that's not screwed up.
So as you drain him off of that arm, there's not as much, and you can feel his heart start to flutter pretty early. There's not nearly as much blood in him as you thought there was. However, the euphoria of the kiss definitely makes it so that the shaking stops. When you stop and you gash your own wrist open and press it to his mouth, he is quicker this time than he was perhaps last night to start drinking.
Time to start my night off hungry.
And he drinks a lot and takes you almost to the edge. When you finally wrestle your wrist away from him, you hear two things. One is the guttural, almost animal scream as the changeover starts to overtake him. The other thing that you hear is bones cracking and starting to pull back together. You hear muscle starting to knit itself together. For many kindred, the birth from near death to undeath is a little bit of euphoria. For Jack, it's every bit as human as it ever was. It is a bloody, painful affair. It takes a bit. But as his body dies and restarts, he sits up and he looks at you and he says, I know exactly who did this to me. He looks around the room. He says, this is that fucking asshole at the gym.
the rest of the what was his name? Crap. I'm trying to remember his name now. The original wrestler that we went there to scout. Correct? The one I went one-on-one with?
He says, well, he was beating the fuck out of me. He was gloating. Told me this wasn't about me. It was about you. Said he'd gotten an upgrade from somebody who had it out for you.
Sounds like Reese is doing.
Jack looks at the ground, and then he looks at you, and he goes, I don't give two fucks about any of that. He says, he looks away. He says, the motherfucker brought the house down on one of my kids. And I watched him do it. He says, I don't know if people like you can die. I don't know if people like him can die. He says, well, I'm going to spend the rest of my time on this godforsaken fucking planet working towards doing that to him.
I don't mind helping.
Mr. Starwell.
Oh, real. Since he's with it, I'll relay the information that we have about the kids. At least let him know that there is one that's in a coma, maybe still worth fighting for. But we don't know much. That's all. The only information we have to go off of right now. We're trying to figure out more.
We'll come back to that. Mr. Starwell, you are awoken by a pleasant knocking as both yours and Westy's temporary homes are unlocked and unrolled. Nora standing there with the very large man again. Well, I hope you slept well. We called you a car to go home. It's time you left.
Thank you for your hospitality. We will be on our way.
As you guys, she escorts you out. Westy leans over and whispers to you and goes, these people are so fucking weird.
I give her the slightest, most unnoticeable nod.
The town car that you were escorted out to takes you from the funeral home directly to the beacon and drops you off.
But I thought I drove.
Did you drive? I thought that
No.
Vic drove the car.
Mm-mm. I took the car because I had two stops.
Okay. Then, as you drive, do you make any stops on your way home?
No.
So then, everyone's back at the beacon. Where do all of you meet back up? And what do you tell each other about the events of the previous night?
Well, I'm going to assume upon entering, Moira's going to tell me about what happened with Vic, so I'm going to head towards that hint.
That is absolutely true. Moira's going to come to you and tell you all of the information that she knows and that she has been able to gather from the police officer that she paid off.
Okay, so I head straight to Vic.
Okay, so you're heading to Vic's apartment. Al, what do you do?
Run towards the screaming.
Well, I had already left them a text from the night before. So I would assume that they would have gotten back into me.
I will leave that to the players to say.
Yeah, I mean, when I get to a phone, since I woke up, it's not like I've had a chance to like really look at my phone or check. I mean, I woke up and he was in a situation where he needed to be turned like right away. So I don't know that.
So if I had heard, knew that you guys were returned, I probably would have said, we need to meet up. We want to meet, in the living area or at the office club.
Good.
Let's go to the conference room.
Yeah.
So, meeting up. Vic, do you bring Jack with you?
Yes.
I'm guessing you send Romano and Harvey to go tend to club business.
Yeah, for now.
Okay.
Get the doors open. They can handle the.
Okay, but you have Jack with you.
Yes.
Okay. Michael, do you bring Westy with you? You're muted. Okay.
Al, do you bring Annie with you?
I have a feeling she's going to come whether she's invited or not.
She's already there. She's waiting for us.
No, once we're all together, I'm popping that Sense the Unseen real fucking.
So
Same.
Okay, so are you both rolling Sense the Unseen?
Well, that or helping each other, whichever would.
Now that's at a discipline, so so it's each of your own individual perceptions.
Yes.
So
Oh,
you each have to roll.
yeah.
So then that will be your wits and aspects. One of the few things that I know
Off the top of your head.
off the top of my head.
Okay, let's see. Which one is my wits and aspects?
All right, so since it has been a night, I need to reset all of your willpower.
Yay!
Wits 3. Aspects 1, so 3 and 1.
Hold on. What's 3 aspects? Yeah, so it'd be 3 and 1. Excuse me, 2 and 2. Your hunger is at a 2.
Literally.
Okay. Do either one of you want to re-roll? Michael, do you want to re-roll?
How many can I re-roll?
You can re-roll 1.
Okay, then.
Okay. So re-roll 1.
That's how you re-roll.
Michael doesn't perceive anything. You don't perceive anything either. You looking around the room, there is nothing there that is supernatural or out of the ordinary. So
Okay.
you know
This
that your
room
room
clean.
is safe. Yes. So, what do you?
Who wants to go first, crew? Oh, don't all jump up at once. Vic, who's your
Sorry,
friend?
guys. I just had a brain fart.
I'll fill in on what we know so far about Jack. He's just been recently turned, so he is now one of us. I'll let him know who did it. and that I think that it's Reese pointing, that did it and pointed in that direction.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that tracks because Reese is currently operating under a go forth and multiply uh, edict for her coterie. So they are creating wantonly and as fast as possible, or at least Ajax is.
Why isn't she
Everybody
being
else
taken
is
out by now?
Why is what?
Why hasn't she been taken out by now? Be fucking reckless.
Well, we don't know. We haven't found a way to
because according to the last council meeting, she is our mess.
She's our responsibility to clean up.
Mhm. But that tracks. I wouldn't be surprised if she's the one who got him upgraded, or Ajax himself.
So
Well, I went and played photographer in the. And it turns out our Annie seems to be a Malkavian, like myself.
I
That would
want to say I'm
explain
shocked.
a lot. You're welcome.
I'm shocked, I tell you.
Otherwise, like, I got these photos, but not much else. She took off right before sun up.
I'm gonna look at closely in the photos, see if they hit trigger anything like with occult or history.
okay, so roll your intelligence and occult.
Which
I make the
is
same roll.
You can.
so 2 and 2.
3. So your occult is so it'd be 2 and 2 for you.
All right, here we go.
Do you want to spend a willpower to reroll
Yes.
that one?
Yes, yes.
Man, we are burning willpower.
God damn it!
I'm sorry, Mike.
I didn't do much better.
Do you want to spend a willpower
Fuck
to
it.
reroll up to 3?
Big money.
Ugh.
The one with willpower left by the time we have our morning meeting.
Okay, so 3 successes. You, Al, looking over the pictures with a more occult eye, there are a couple things that jump out to you. One, obviously, given your own previous experience, it is kind of difficult to ignore the continuing imagery of the woman in the lighthouse. Both as you've had that dream yourself, you've now seen this multiple times in some way, shape, or form. It occurs to be some sort of reoccurring theme. The other thing that really stands out to you, in terms of the occult knowledge part of it, is the picture of Idaho. The man who is sitting with him almost looks, in a way, like the Nodus descriptions that you have read of Cain, if Cain were much cleaner.
I would probably just go ahead and explain this to the group as I'm recalling it.
Okay.
Study art interpretation.
You're talking to someone who doesn't read, so art
Which means you
interpretation.
should love the pretty pictures even more.
So is that like something that I could possibly do with like my skills? Come on.
So can you be more specific about what you're asking if you can do?
So I have skill in craft, but nothing else. I was just trying to figure out if I could pick up any artistic imagery, ideas, anything.
I would say no. I would say that you're probably you looking at these. I mean, the there doesn't appear to be anything beyond what the actual image is. It's if there's anything, it's purely open to interpretation.
Okay. Okay. And there's nothing else that like sticks out that could be a clue or an indication of anything else, other than it's Idaho with who might be Cain,
No,
sitting like a Jesus figure.
they actually appear. It's so the in terms of that depiction. If anything, that's maybe the weirdest part of it is because the two of them sitting on the bench together looks like it doesn't look like it's an argument or anything like that. It looks amicable, friendly, even.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
In fact, if you cut out just that part of the picture and took out all of the surrounding imagery around it, it looks literally just like two guys sitting on a bench together.
Okay.
I'm blanking right now, but have I figured out the artist? Or is this still a I'm just...
So this doesn't look like Yoru. The style is definitely a little bit different. Now that doesn't necessarily mean anything, as this is obviously, Yoru's tunnels, but without having another, shall we say, another option. That's really the only painter that you know.
Animal. Always relying on Idaho. That's it.
Mr. Starwell, what are you going to... What are you telling them?
Well, I'm going to state that we're obviously being targeted by Reese. They're trying to fuck us up, and I'm also going to update everybody on what happened to everybody at the Threnity's apartment. Like what happened, like what we found when we tried to visit, and what other people said. The fabulous one and the overly dressed one.
So, having explained, everybody has exchanged information. What is the next step for our group of kindred this evening? Knowing that we have a limited amount of time left in our actual evening.
I need to feed, and I don't know that it's safe for me to go out alone. I got lucky last night, but I am on the verge.
I definitely have to feed Wisteria since she self-healed and got hungrier last night. So I'm going to go ahead and tap into our reserve in my apartment.
Okay. So
She eats livers.
I was gonna say, so you're taking her up to go get go get a snack. Cue the scream, "Leave her alone." Vic, so Jack is also hungry. So the question is, who are you going to take with you to go hunt? And who are you going to send with Jack to go hunt?
It's a good question.
You guys
Maybe
can go together.
that, or maybe message our other
I was going to say, do you really
peoples.
want a nearly ravenous Vic with an unexperienced child out on
If
the
he
street?
sees me beast out on his first night,
Maybe it's time to call Sabine for some takeout.
I was going to say, if he beast out, if both of them beast out,
Just bad time all around.
yeah, I was going to say, you're going to suffer for this one. So how are you going to do this? What are you going to do?
do we happen to have any blood bags?
I would say that you've got probably two blood bags available, which would be enough to bring you down some.
Okay, that's the main thing. If I can bring me down, then I can at least still
Guard
go
him.
hunting, yeah, and take him out.
So you drain those two blood bags, which brings you down to a 2. So I need you to roll, Vic, 6 die, counting your counting your hunger. So you and Jack head out. Now the question I have for you is, are you going to attempt to
Mentally prepare.
No, I was going to say, are you attempting to try to teach Jack how to hunt like you hunt, or are you attempting to encourage him to figure out how he hunts?
More just trying to have me take the lead now, just to kind of get the food, and then later on trying to figure out what his hunting style is, and what I don't know if there's enough time to get into that or feeding style, but before we get
So when you try to show him the way that you hunt, which is to say hunting mostly on sleeping or unconscious people, he's really uncomfortable with that. He, even as hungry as he is, he brings up issues of consent multiple times. He's like, I'm not comfortable with this. The other thing that he brings up is that this feels like a bit of a violation. He's like, these people don't deserve this. As you guys are stalking through the alleys, and you're trying to figure out what to do, you hear it's not a scream, it's more of a yelp. And in a darkened doorway, there is a guy who is, you can smell it, Vic. He is bleeding. There is another guy who is standing over him, holding a knife. It's not a terribly large knife, and appears to be mugging him. Before you can do anything, Jack rushes this guy. Like straight up, like,
The bad guy.
yeah, runs up on him, like tackles him to the ground, and just starts laying into him, punching him. And he's going flat out. Like, this is like, he is not even beginning to attempt to hold back.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to hold him. I'm gonna have
Like-
to pull him off.
Like, he is, like, he's pulping this guy.
Yeah.
So when you go to grab him and you pull him back, like he's like dragging the guy with him. And drags. So the three of you end up getting dragged into an alley. And Jack sinks his fangs in and just drains this guy almost to the point of death.
Yeah, I'll make sure he doesn't kill him. I try to pull him off before he does that.
You were able to and separate them. And Jack kind of stumbles away, kind of dizzily. And he's kind of like, ooh.
I'll lick the neck wound. I'll leave the other ones.
Fuck it, this guy's a bad guy. Bring him home for Wisty.
I was going to say,
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
this dude is...
Sorry, I
so,
shouldn't.
So aside from the fact that that this dude is now very low on blood, like Jack beat this guy badly. Like, this is one of those things where, Vic, you know that if somebody else saw this in public, this would draw way unnecessary attention. Even if just from the standpoint of you're not allowed to beat people nearly to death. The fact that the amount of damage that he did,
Mm-hmm.
in the speed that he did it, like, people are not going to look at this and be like, oh, he's really strong. They're going to go, something's wrong. Yeah, something's wrong here.
Okay. Yeah, so we probably needed to take this guy back to the club and just carve out whatever organs we can use for Westeria and throw the rest of them in the cremator. Incinerator.
So you and Jack are going to take this guy back to the club. Michael, having taken Wisteria back to your apartment to feed her, what is your next? What do you do? Are you there?
Say that again, please.
I said
Just-
you took Wisteria back to the apartment to feed her. What do you do next?
I definitely so I feed her, and hold on a second. Let me look at this map. And while she's eating, I go and check on our what's it called on the other apartment, see if anybody's returned.
I'm going to need you to be more specific.
Our magical folk.
Oh, the Trebir.
Yes, thank you. I knew it started with a T. I was like,
Are glittery vampires.
There are no farmers in the building. So when you go to knock on the door, well, do you leave Wisteria to feed up in your apartment while you head down to? Okay. When you go down there, you knock on the door. Nobody answers. They still have not returned. You're still muted.
at this point, I open the door and see if there's anybody in there.
When you go to put your hand on the door, it is incredibly painful. When you put your hand on the doorknob. It is, when you put your hand on the door, it is burning, flesh smoking, like your hand hurts.
I automatically like take it off. So I guess they like put a sigil to ward against people coming in.
That is what it looks like, since it is very, very similar to the ward that was used in your apartment or in your office at one point.
At this point, I call Moira and I'm like, has anybody seen our Tremere? Have they come back and forth at all?
Moira says, she says, I can check the cameras and see if there's any movement and on there. She says, but I haven't seen even Eugene lately.
Yeah, please do and let me know.
She goes,
And then I like return to my apartment.
You have suffered a superficial damage, by the way, on your hand from that. It is intensely painful.
I will be focusing on healing as I walk.
Roll a rouse check.
Of course. Yeah, I know, right?
Buddy, think happy thoughts.
Did you? What is going on? Why can't I open the scripts? Fine. Just gonna go all the way back up. There we are. Did it happen?
Yeah.
So, as you are walking and you rouse the blood, you watch as the flesh pulls itself together and knits on your hand. It is an itchy feeling, as this is literally burning flesh being undone. But in the end, your hand is returned to be as smooth as it ever was. Al, what do you do?
I'm gonna go down, I guess, and check on my bar setup. Make sure everybody's taking what drama we need from.
Okay, so you are going to head down to the bar. So this seems like an oddly opportune time to do some housekeeping. So everybody rouse your blood.
Sure.
Man, Vic, you are just a hungry
Wait,
mother.
again? Even though, okay.
Yeah, what?
Because I just did a rouse check.
You roused to heal yourself.
Well, now I'm hungry.
Hit it too. That muted.
I was saying I just fed off of someone in the alley though, with Jack. I don't.
Doesn't take a hold. Those
No,
were
no, I'm
rousing.
saying I would have been at a 1 instead of a 2 to start out with.
Oh,
Yeah, that's no. Did you?
Because I drank 2 from the blood bags, and then when we were in the alley and I was showing him how to drink off of the people that were the unconscious, he wasn't liking that.
Yep, that is correct. So you'd be at a 2. So, with that, our session, though certainly not our chronicle, comes to an end. And this night that we have started will be the subject of our next session.
Is that the first time we've ended on like the more wake up rouse
Mhm.
pick?
look at us. Still firsts after all this
There's a
time.
first for everything. Life never stops surprising you.
Oh, you have no idea.
Oh God, don't do that. Scary man.
Ruh-roh.
Scary, scary man.
Now
So-
this has me wondering about Idaho and what the connection could be to Maine.
Right.
That's really like what?
Well, he was created during the Sabbat's mass
True.
creations.
But he himself
Yeah.
never seemed or gave off
Right.
the vibe that he was like devout. Not like me and
Right.
my Bahari blood.
Maybe he's not devout. Maybe he's just sitting on a bench talking to him, you know?
Like the
Good Omens?
Ingmar Bergman film. Anyway. Instead
Oh,
of playing
God,
chess
which
with
one?
death, he's just like hanging
Yeah.
out with Cain.
Yeah.
Oh my
So.
goodness. So we got some XP.
Yay,
Like that.
XP.
Yeah, I might need to spend some before next session.
Better.
Yeah,
I need to
likewise.
remember what the hell I was maybe saving up for. I'm like, I'm always saving for
Right?
something,
What
and then
was
by the
my
time I
original
get
plan?
it, I never remember.
Speaking of, I
Ooh,
need
ain't
to.
got much.
I got 11. No, I had 11 when we started.
Let me see. 15. So XP. I'm in the process of distributing it.
Thank you.
So what everybody in Twitch chat think about tonight?
Mm-hmm.
We love to hear you guys' feedback. It says after that chilling with Cain painting, I'm getting horrible thoughts. And you guys can say hi to Tay. Taylor's in the chat.
Hey, Taylor.
Hey, Taylor.
Yeah, so total like small spark idea, and I was gonna get in touch with you, Martha, on the
Mhm.
one-on-one, but just to bring it up, so I myself tend to have like a ton of male friends. It's always been that way my whole life. But I've fallen in with some really cool female and female identifying cats, such as Taylor, yourself, a few other peeps. If I was to do a once a month femme podcast, would you be interested?
I think I would.
Oh, you were talking about not me. I'm sorry.
Adorable.
Just because you consider yourself a lesbian doesn't mean the rest of the world does.
Hey,
baby.
I'm not the one. I'm not the one that gave me that nickname. It was another.
Sure.
It was another. No, Al knows this story. It was a group of lesbians that would get together like once a month or whatever, and we were in Houston, and I was the only guy that they would ever invite. So I was the only. So they called me a lesbian by proxy. So I was the
You
only
were
guy that
honorific.
showed up. Yeah, it was-
Yup. I miss those game nights. They were-
Yeah, I'd love to. Just let me know.
Yeah. I'll get all the planning and everything together. Hopefully, like I said, it's very just sparks of ideas right now, but
Cool.
yeah. Okie doke. Well, let's do one more check in with Twitch chat. Taylor says, I think so too. I'd have to figure out how to work around that with my work schedule. But yeah, a once a month thing would be cool. Awesome. Blitz says, my quote, my child, if you look back on your unlife to the points where there was one set of footprints, it was there that I devoured you. Oh, I love Blitz. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, Twitch chat, we're going to take off. Now would be the last second time to get in any bits, subs, or tips. They are greatly appreciated and help to support the stream. This episode should be up on the YouTube in a few days. And I will see you tomorrow. And the rest of these cool cats will see you on Thursday. So, everybody have a great night. And stick around for a raid. See you later. Bye, everybody.